Hello and welcome to the intelligence from Martinos Television. I'm Emma Clarke, a Martinos Television geopolitics and Middle East conflict reporter.
And I'm James Reed, a strategic analysis and global impact reporter at Martinos Television. Every weekend, we provide a deep analysis on the events shaping your world.
Today, we dive into Israel's aggressive new security plan, a strategy reshaping not only Israel's borders, but the entire Middle East.
From seizing territories in Syria to constructing a permanent buffer zone in Gaza, Israel's new doctrine represents a fundamental shift in regional geopolitics.
Following Hamas's devastating October 7th attack, Israel has abandoned its previous defensive stance. The Israeli Defense Forces have advanced beyond the country's internationally recognized borders, occupying territory in Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, and the West Bank.
According to Israeli military officials, the strategic misconception of allowing Hamas to consolidate control in Gaza led directly to October 7th. One senior IDF official told the Financial Times, "You can't let a terror army build at your door."
In Gaza, a 1-kilometer-wide buffer zone is under construction. South Gaza has been largely reduced to rubble. Israeli reservists told the Financial Times, and I quote, "It looks like Mars. If there's a building standing, it probably means we're using it."
Israel's ambitions do not stop at Gaza. After an Islamist-led rebel offensive toppled the Assad regime in December, Israel seized hundreds of square kilometers across the Syrian frontier, establishing at least 9 new outposts.
Israel also launched preemptive airstrikes deep inside Syria. Former U.S. diplomat Barbara Leaf warned, Israel's action in Syria risks stirring up the kind of agitation and animosity that wasn't there.
In Lebanon, despite a U.S.-brokered ceasefire, Israel maintains 5 strategic positions inside Lebanese territory. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz declared, "This is what victory looks like. The IDF is here, and the Lebanese villages on the other side are crushed."
Meanwhile, in the West Bank, approximately 40,000 Palestinians have been displaced as the IDF raises refugee camps in Jenin, Tulkarm, and Nur Shams, replacing them with military outposts.
Israel claims the new deployments are temporary. Yet, as history has shown, temporary occupations often evolve into long-term realities.
To help us unpack these developments, we welcome a former senior intelligence officer specializing in Middle Eastern conflicts, military strategy, and geopolitics. For security reasons, we are keeping his identity confidential. From a geopolitical perspective, how significant is Israel's shift from a reactive to a proactive territorial security model?
This is not just significant, it's transformative. Israel has shifted its paradigm from security through deterrence to security through territorial depth. The belief is that controlling the immediate surroundings prevents threats before they materialize. It's a philosophy born from both October 7th and deeper fears of non-state actors filling the power vacuums across the region. How is this different from previous strategies we've seen Israel employ in the past decades? Historically, Israel relied on rapid response and heavy retaliation, not permanent presence. Post-1967, they occupied the West Bank and Gaza, but even then there was an expectation of eventual disengagement. Today we are seeing the language shift towards permanence, especially in buffer zones. It's no longer about punishing aggression. It's about preemptively eliminating the environment where aggression can grow.
You mentioned non-state actors. Could you elaborate on the risks posed by groups like Hezbollah and other militias?
Hezbollah remains the model Israel fears being replicated elsewhere. In Lebanon, Israel's withdrawal in 2000 was seen by Hezbollah as a victory. That perception fueled their growth into the powerhouse they are today. Israel sees Hezbollah not as a militia, but as a hybrid force capable of challenging state militaries. Hence, the insistence now on occupying territory and establishing buffer zones, rather than trusting ceasefires or third-party monitoring. There's considerable international criticism regarding the legality of these moves. How is Israel justifying them internally and externally? Domestically, the narrative is clear. survival at any cost. Internationally, Israel leans heavily on the narrative of self-defense, arguing that the failure to act preemptively led to October 7th. They invoke the responsibility to protect doctrine unofficially, the idea that failed or hostile states near its borders necessitate unilateral action. However, this logic deeply strains international law norms, especially regarding sovereignty and proportionality.
Let's talk about Syria. Israeli forces have expanded deep into former UN-monitored, demilitarized zones. What are the risks there?
Southern Syria is a tinderbox. Multiple factions vie for control. Islamist groups, Iranian-backed militias, remnants of the Syrian Arab army. It's chaotic. Israel's deep operations are meant to prevent Iranian or Turkish proxies from filling the vacuum. However, the deeper Israel goes, the harder it is to sustain presence without igniting localized insurgencies. In fact, the longer Israeli troops remain, the more likely a grassroots insurgency similar to what Israel faced in South Lebanon during the 1980s will emerge. How might Hezbollah or Iran respond to Israel's new doctrine? Iran sees any permanent Israeli presence in Syria and Lebanon as an existential threat to its regional project. We should expect Tehran to escalate asymmetric attacks, drone strikes, proxy attacks, cyber warfare. Hezbollah, despite being bruised from recent skirmishes, will likely regroup and reposition rather than confront Israel head-on immediately. But patience has always been Hezbollah's strategy. Time is on their side.
From your experience, could this lead to a full-scale regional war?
Not immediately. All actors understand the catastrophic cost of full-scale war. What is more probable is a series of escalations. Border skirmishes, tit-for-tat strikes, localized flare-ups that could inadvertently spiral if not carefully managed. Think of it like a chessboard littered with landmines. Finally, looking ahead, in the next few years, how do you see this new Israeli security doctrine shaping the broader Middle East? Expect hardened borders, militarized buffer zones, weaker central governments around Israel's periphery, and increased reliance on direct military occupation to secure national interests. It's a bet that territory and overwhelming force can buy security. But history warns that durable peace seldom comes from military occupation alone. The Middle East may enter a phase of prolonged low-intensity conflict, much like the Lebanese Civil War period, but more fragmented.
We would like to thank our guest for sharing his insights with us today.
Israel's security map is being redrawn in real time, challenging established norms of sovereignty and international law.
Whether this strategy brings lasting security or fuels future instability remains uncertain. But one thing is clear. The Middle East is entering a new volatile chapter.
For more in-depth analysis on geopolitics, finance, and world affairs, follow Martinos Television. Thank you for watching.